is your life's work. Something that takes all of the skills that you have and all of the passion that you have for something that you care about, and that you can make that your life's work. And for me, it is the simple act of remembering and sharing and hopefully passing on these stories. So I want to start with a story that is one of the most common types of Cherokee stories. Like I said, mostly when I was a kid, the stories that I heard in my family were family stories or history stories. But my grandmother also knew hundreds of traditional stories. And the ones that I learned first, the ones I heard, were the stories about Rabbit. Rabbit is always in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the old timers, they would just say, Rabbit was the leader in mischief, and you knew what kind of story was coming. Rabbit, well, he's in trouble because he talks all the time. He never stops talking. He talked so much in the beginning days of the world, Nathan came along, scooped him up, and said, geez, dude, you don't listen. I'm going to help you listen better. Took a hold of Rabbit's ears. That's how come Rabbit's ears stick up. Didn't matter. He still didn't listen. He still talked too much. He talked so much, and this, my mother laughs every time I say this. She's like, see any parallels there? He talked so much, that's how he got his job. You see, in the beginning days of the world, the people and the animals spoke the same language. As my grandmother would say, everybody spoke the same language, except for killing and eating each other. They got along pretty good. And the animal society in these stories is organized like the perfect society, which is, of course, Cherokee society. Animals play stickball, they have dances, and they have a tribal council. And the tribal council gave Rabbit the job of being the messenger. They figured he was going to be talking anyway. They might as well give him something to do. But he was not allowed in the council house because in the old days, I'm told, never having seen this for myself, things were so polite at council meetings that you could not interrupt somebody. If they were talking, you just had to listen. And so if Rabbit got into the council house and started talking, council meetings would last 3 months. So they would make him sit outside. And he was sitting outside one day, you know, waiting for the council meeting to be over, waiting for them to come out, tell him the news so he could go on about his job. And he was happy. It was stomp dance night. Now that's one place Rabbit is always welcome. He's a good caller. Always welcome at the dances. He had his rattle with him. And so when he was leaning up against the council house, he thought he'd just loosen up his voice a little, get ready for the dance. So he made him up a little song. And since he got to make up the song, it was about his favorite subject, which was Rabbit. He sang, G-stu, knock the nay. Rabbit, rabbit, what's that sound? G-stu, ada, ye, rabbit, rabbit is here. In other words, what's that beautiful sound? It's the sound of my glorious music. The louder he sang, the happier he felt. The happier he felt, the louder he sang. Until inside the council house, they couldn't hear themselves think. Eagle, he looked down at the sergeant at arms, that's Bullfrog. He said, you go out there, you tell him to be quiet. Well, Bullfrog puffed himself up as big as he could. He hopped outside. There was Rabbit shaking that rattle. singing. Bullfrog leaped up, knocked the rattle out of Rabbit's hand. Rabbit stopped singing, looked down. Bullfrog said, Eagle says, be quiet. Be quiet. Be quiet. And he hopped back inside. Rabbit watched him go, waited till the door closed behind him, said, yeah, inside the council house, Eagle looked down at Bullfrog and said, oh yeah, good job. Showed him. Fox, you go outside. You make him be quiet. Well, Fox went outside. There's Rabbit shaking that rattle and singing. Fox reached out, grabbed Rabbit's right arm, and popped it off. The rattle fell to the ground. Fox said, I'll give this back to you when the council meeting is over. She stuck Rabbit's arm in her pocket, went back inside. Rabbit waited till the door closed behind her. He said, inside the council house, Eagle. Wolf, you go out there. You make him be quiet. Wolf went outside. There was Rabbit shaking his rattle and singing. Wolf reached out, grabbed his left arm, popped it off. The rattle fell to the ground. Wolf said, I'll give this back to you when the council meeting is over. He stuck Rabbit's arm in his pocket and went back inside. Rabbit waited till the door closed behind him. G-stew, not da nay. G-stew, not da nay. Just singing, keeping time with his feet. Inside the council house, Eagle said, Bear, you go out there. You make him be quiet. Bear went out there. There was Rabbit singing, keeping time with his foot. Bear reached out, grabbed both Rabbit's legs, and popped them off. Rabbit fell to the ground. Bear said, I'll give these back to you when the council meeting is over. Stuck Rabbit's legs in his pocket, headed back inside. There's Rabbit lying on the ground, looking up, beautiful blue sky, clouds floating by. Pretty soon he goes, G-stew, not da nay. G-stew, not da nay. Singing, keeping time with his head. Inside the council house, Eagle said, you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself. He goes out there, he looks down, he reaches down, pops Rabbit's head off. I'll give this back to you when the council meeting is over. Sticks Rabbit's head in his pocket, heads back inside. But the door had barely closed when they heard very faint, G-stew, not da nay. They couldn't believe it. Everybody rushed outside. They gathered in a circle around this brownish, grayish, furry, jelly bean shaped looking thing. Eagle put his head down and listened. And he looked up at the others and he said, he's singing with his heart. Oh, said Bear. He He took out Brandon's legs and popped him back on, stood him up. Fox and Wolf gave him his arm. Eagle gave him back his head. They handed him his rattle. You see, the Animal Tribal Council was wise. They knew something then that is just as true today. If you are singing or speaking the truth from your heart, they can take you apart one piece at a time. But you have voice. And if you're speaking the truth, or singing the truth, or in our way, dancing the truth from your heart, that voice